SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5.
Good morning to you on a Tuesday. Dave Hughes here in the chair on mornings. Richard out today, but man, he's going to make up for it. He's got a week. Man, does he have a week in front of him. We'll talk more about that later on. Right now, want to greet my buddy Lance over in the booth. How you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing great. I mean, a week for Richard this week would be like, what, Wednesday, Thursday? So, yeah, he's going to have to cram it all in 2 days. You know, he'll be ready.
He's got a lot he's going to cram in. He's on the road. Tomorrow's huge. Thursday's big. It's you got Hobnob coming up Thursday. You've got the Turning Point USA event tomorrow, and we've got the Vice President of the United States coming to town up there. Richard's going to be on site to broadcast. So, yeah, he's got a lot. He does.
Man. You know, you need a couple days off when you got to deal with all that, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, there is a certain amount of prop your feet up time that everyone has to take, right?
That dude was just in South Dakota, you know, so up there and did the Jackrabbits and the Bison game this past Saturday. So, you know, that was a pretty nice little trip up to the hill country, so to speak, and
well, on the bright side, he didn't have to be involved in the call of the World Series game that ended about 20 minutes ago. Seriously, it ended at like 2:30 this morning.
Yeah, I gave up on it, brother. I wasn't able to stay up on that one. Not you get up this early.
No, went through 18 innings.
I mean, they just couldn't decide who wanted to win it. You know, sometimes that happens in baseball. You get into those games where it just never ends, never ending.
At like the bottom of the 13th, they had the bases loaded, and Freddie Freeman came up to bat, and I said, "Oh, we got this. All we need is a single out of Freddie. We're in good shape." No, he flied out, and then at the end of the game, who wins it? Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
So I was right. I was just off a few innings.
You had to have a couple more hours of baseball to play. But yeah, I mean, what an evenly matched series so far. You've had one blowout for Toronto. You had one pretty much blowout for L.A., and then you had this 18-inning marathon where you played 2 baseball games at the same time, basically. So 2 9-inning games. So yeah, you've pretty much blown through your pitching, and you're on even footing here. Both teams have. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who's got it left. Even though the Dodgers get the edge with that 6-5 victory, both teams played very well, though. I mean, you know.
You think this one's going to 7?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Dodgers won with 2 errors, right? I mean, you hammered out with 16 hits and had 2 errors and still won. They just seemed charmed. So, I mean, yeah, Toronto's got to get this next one. They got to, because I think if the Dodgers get one more on them, I mean, the weight of the world you start feeling it. Toronto's good, but man, the Dodgers, when they get rolling, buddy, they're just tough to beat.
Well, they got Ohtani. I mean, that alone is like saying, well, my group of superheroes has Superman in it. Yeah. You lose.
Exactly. I mean, when you got the best player potentially that's ever played the game, and he does 2 things for you very well. He hits and pitches. And he's not bad on the defensive end either, you know. So
I haven't looked up the final stats. I do know he was, last time I saw them, 4 for 4 at the plate last night, and then the next time he came up, they walked him intentionally because they weren't stupid in Toronto.
Well, I mean, he was 4 for 4 with 2 bombs, 3 ribbies, which was half of their run production, and would they walk him 5 times?
Yeah,
like
something
9
ridiculous like that.
I mean, yeah, it was sick. Betts had 8 at bats. I mean, you go through this. I mean, it's amazing those are either average killers, or either you help yourself out an awful lot. But when you have 8 at bats in a game and you go 1 for 8, you know, that's like Luke's. He went 1 for 8. You know, those are just you look in the mirror at the end of that game, going, man, that was a killer. Personal for your personal stuff. You're looking at.
Oh yeah,
baseball's like crazy. That. Yeah, because it's so streaky. And again, that's my point with LA. I think as they won that one and the way they won it, I feel like they've got the pedal down now.
Well, and the thing is, I think Freddie Freeman, who won the game for him at the end at the bottom of the 18th inning, I just have to keep saying that over and over. I think he only had 2 hits in the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers pitched 10 guys, and the Blue Jays pitched 9, so 19 different pitchers in the game last night. I mean, it's pretty much the bullpen coach just stayed down there. They're like, go get the guy, 12-pack. He's going to be here all night maybe. But, yeah, I mean, you think 19 guys through between the two teams. Ohtani, again, with multiple home runs, 4 for 4. I mean, it's just he showed out. Hernandez was 4 for 8. Yeah, but, I mean, literally, Ohtani had 4 base on balls. 5, I'm sorry, 5, and 2 bombs in there mixed in. I mean, are you kidding me?
Well, it's being called an instant classic by all the sports reporting organizations, and I get that. But at the same time, some of us had to be here early this morning. We didn't need that
start them earlier.
Night.
Yeah, that's the you get those later starts, man. In a baseball game, kind of lingers around for a while. Baseball it takes a while to get going. You get into the middle innings, and you're just kind of sleepy, and then you get to the back 3 innings, and you're going, okay, we're almost done. No, you got 9 more to go after that. So, yeah, I hated extra inning games. Absolutely hated them as a player.
It was 2 games.
Yeah, well, and you'd run into that. Back in the live bat era in college, man, you'd run into games where somebody might score 20 or 30 runs, in a 9-inning game.
Oh, and
there's no running clock. Right, I mean, it's 37-22, and that's a baseball score, and you're going, something just doesn't feel right about this.
When you're getting shelled in baseball, you just get shelled until they run out of ammo.
Yeah, and it happens on both sides. It'll when you run into it and no one can get an out. It's the most miserable experience in sports, I would imagine. I mean, I'm sure there's others, but it's like when you're a pro golfer, and you can't make a putt or something. You just get to shanks and can't hit one. Baseball gets like that, man. I mean, you get to where everything that gets thrown up there is like pouring gas on a fire. And those are the worst games in the world to play. And I can't. My freshman year, we got into a 30-something to 20-something marathon against a nobody. Yeah, I mean, it was like we should have come in and beat him. Been out of there. It was like a 6-hour game. Then you got to get on the bus and head back. Oh man.
No, thank you.
You got to love it, though. Yeah. You got to love it, right?
This now. Where does the concept of pitchers resting the arms come in? Because they play again tonight and tomorrow night.
Like I said, with 19 pitchers used between the two teams, and then really the only one day off in between they've had, it's going to be a stretch. I'm sure that they'll have their number 4s ready to go.
Better have the number 18s ready to go.
You might have to be calling up some guys or something off the not normal grouping that you're using. But yeah, in pro ball, I mean, I remember my brother-in-law. He played almost 5 years in the bigs, and he was a relief guy, short relief. And you may throw every day. I mean, it may be 1 inning every day. That's your job. So some of these guys will be very conditioned for it. But as the guys that start, or generally your long relievers, they're going to need a little bit more rehab time. Some of them, though, are just jelly armed, and they can, they got Gumby for an arm and can get out there and pitch multiple innings in multiple days. But generally, that's frowned upon in pro ball. They pay these guys a lot of money, and generally speaking, they try to protect them as much as they can. So the next one's going to be an interesting one to me because, after throwing 19 pitchers between the two, you really go, okay, who's up next?
You get down to the 9th inning tonight, the one of the team's trainers might get an inning.
Saying. The guy throwing batting practice might be the one that has to get in there, but no, it'll be a good game. But I would imagine Dodgers would have the edge on this and being at home, and after such a interesting win there with Freeman with the walk-off. But who are you pulling for in this one?
Dodgers.
Dodgers, yeah. It's hard to pull for Canada, when it's the American pastime.
Used to be a fan of the Dodgers when I was very little, for whatever reason. I don't know why. They just clicked with me.
I always liked Sandy Koufax and some of the old, that old guard that was really amazing.
Well, and then I became a Braves fan, and every other team on the planet could kiss my booty.
Yeah.
I didn't care. But somewhere at my mother's house, there is still, it was like a toy version or a promotional item or something. I still have a replica L.A. Dodgers batting helmet from the early 70s.
Really, I had the ones that you get the ice cream in. You know,
Yeah,
I had like
that
5
kind
of
thing.
those L.A. Dodgers ones.
This one was like... This one was like wearable size.
No, I know what you're talking about. I always envied those. You know, you didn't have the earpiece side. You know, it was just it was the hat,
just the hat, just the lid, nothing else.
Well, and the Chiefs are, trying to play some football again, man. You know, they won 28-7 over the Commanders, and pretty interesting, night of sports there. There's so much football going on. It's really hard to keep up with all of it, which we can get to, and some weather when we come back if you'd like.
Yeah, we got to talk about the weather too, because there is
Jamaica, Lordy, man, that's going to be bad.
Yeah, that is unreal. We'll talk about that when we return here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi on a Tuesday. Keep it here.
Around your kitchen door. Oh, you better not let him in. Little old lady got mutilated late last night. Werewolves of London again. Werewolves of London.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
None of the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important.
Huge news. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Lonely feeling deep inside. Find a corner where I can hide. Silent footsteps.
Welcome back, my friend. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, even when Richard isn't here. Go to communitybank.net to find out more information. The Mississippi River Bridge, part of I-10 down in Baton Rouge, they just reopened it about 20 minutes. It was closed in both directions. About an hour and a half ago, they had a jumper.
Really?
So, yeah, somebody threatening to jump. I haven't seen
into the water?
Yes, off the bridge.
Okay.
I haven't seen details on how that's sorted out yet. I've just seen the notice from the Baton Rouge Police Department that I-10 is open for travel once again. So as soon as I find out more details, or if you see anything about it,
I'll look. Yeah,
let me know. But that was the case about an hour and a half ago. They closed the bridge completely in both directions because they had someone threatening to jump off of it.
Yeah, you go over there with that Edison gun and pop them with that electricity. They'll may stop all that.
Yeah, or they might lose their grip. You got to be careful in these situations.
You got to get one of those like crowd nets and one of those stun guns or something. But that's it's not something you hear every day. A jumper.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure to put it out there, because it's unusual. Unfortunately, it's not unusual enough. It should be non-existent, but that's the world we live in right now and always have. That's not even a new development that sometimes things like this happen.
You think if somebody that is on the way to work and maybe just said, "All right, I'm done. Too much traffic. I'm done. I'm done." Yeah,
you don't know. It could be. You never know what somebody else is going through. My dad gave me advice kind of along those lines years and years ago when I was first starting to drive. So middle teenager, 15, you got your license when I was a kid because, it was back in the Stone Age and in the dinosaurs, you needed to be nimble. Yeah. So he told me, my dad was highway patrol for a long time before he went and became police chief in Macomb. But he gave me the advice. He said, if a law enforcement officer pulls you over and he is being a jerk to you, you treat him as nice and respectful as possible, because you don't know what happened to him. You may be the first thing he saw 5 minutes after going on duty, and he just had a horrible knockdown drag out with his wife or his mother-in-law or his brother or somebody as he was walking out the door. It's not always about you. Everybody's going through something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I thought that was great advice from him, and I've remembered it to this day because it's true.
Well, we had that road rage issue, over in Rankin County.
Ross Barnett out there,
next to where I'll be staying. That's one of those things you just you hate to see. And as you were just saying, though, you never know what somebody's going through in a given day.
We have lost the ability as a society to process our emotions.
Yeah.
I joke about it all the time, joked about it with a guest a week or two ago, but it's the truth. Gen X, we learn to process our emotions by burying them really deeply and letting them out as sarcasm.
Right.
Which explains a lot about what you see when I'm in the chair here, by the way. But we have a whole lot of people running around now that don't understand how to process and regulate their emotions. And it's leading to a lot of different kinds of problems. That incident at the Ross Barnett is a great example of it.
Well, it requires effort, too.
Yes.
To deal with your emotions, which are always, the most difficult thing is to pin down the feelings, right? Where did this come from? Why do I feel this way?
Bingo.
And I don't know how many people out there each day, when you get into that stressful situation, kind of look in the mirror and go, hey, how can I handle this better? Rather than, whose fault is it? I think we all get into that sometimes as our day gets in the way of sometimes sanity.
I got something later in the show that I'm going to talk about that kind of gives a hint toward how we got that way or why we're becoming more and more that way as days go by from the national media. And remind me of it, and I'll get into it.
It seems like we act a little bit more like AI sometimes, and I guess that's natural given that we depend on it so much more. And that a lot of social media, I'm sure, today is shortcutted by people using the AI apps. And I think we're just kind of shortcutting. We're getting to the point where we're depending maybe a little bit more on those things rather than dealing with our own emotions and thoughts, as you were saying, and maybe being considerate of others. Yeah, maybe that's a piece of it.
That can be part of it, but this has been a process that's been going on my entire life, and I suspect the lifetime of humanity.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back
as old as man.
Tale as old as time. Thank you, Angela Lansbury. Yeah. We appreciate you. I mean, she doesn't know I said that. She's dead. But, the sentiment still stands.
Today was the day that the Statue of Liberty was dedicated in 1886. Yes. A pretty big day. You think about it. You get a big gift from the French. How do you handle that? You go stand it up on an island out there in the middle of the bay, huh? It was
give it its own home.
Give it its own home. Bedloe's Island is what it was originally, and then named Liberty Island later. I think it's probably one of the coolest things, though. Like a gift. If you think about a gift that somebody could give you. I mean, France, they give you a towering statue of this Lady Liberty. Have you ever heard of that? Has anybody ever given a gift like that to somebody as a country?
Minute.
Yeah, you don't hear about things like that.
Well, we also don't build things like that
I've made that
anywhere on the planet.
I worked in the arts for a while, and it always was depressing to me to see that we had a golden era of creating monuments and structures and things that, like the Arch and the Statue of Liberty, and you have Rushmore, and there's so many interesting things but we don't see that being done anymore. And I don't. Is that a sign of something? That we're not creating things of beauty anymore like that. We're not creating monuments. We're so politically correct. We can't even do that anymore.
Nope,
so you couldn't even.
Nope.
The arch, the arch would be significant to some, and then others they would protest it now, and it would. The environment and the birds may hit it, and
it is not even that. It is none of that. It is nothing political. There are some things that are not political in this world that are a problem. The problem is you don't make any money off of producing art.
Yeah.
It doesn't drive the economy. So as a result, it has been severely deprioritized to the point to where no one cares to try.
Yeah, well, I think that, I worked in the world of it a bit, and I always found that it was something that was always inspirational. Being able to see things of such beauty. Many folks don't get an opportunity to experience going to Spain or, seeing things in in the Louvre or going to France, but being able to bring those pieces, here and kids at young ages getting to see that. And I think it does, for some, it really connects. Where some reading a book or, holding a baseball or football, those, I hope we don't forget that the arts are important in that way. Not everybody's going to be an engineer. Some people are going to have to write some books and create some things, or else AI is going to do it, right? I mean,
the problem is, here are the priorities, the acceptable priorities on planet Earth today, but in America specifically. That's the one I have the most experience with, so I'm going with that one.
I remote view Mars every so often, but yeah, I'm on the big rock here. Yeah.
You do what you got to do when it's nap
exactly.
time. You've got, we'll say, between 40 and 70 hours a week. You should be working. When you get off, you should be working on other things, because we always have to advance with every second of our day in some tangible way, whether it's fixing up stuff around the house or doing this or doing that, whatever. Then the rest of your time is supposed to be spent sitting in a chair watching other people do athletic activities. That's the acceptable way to live your life. Tell me where the spot is to appreciate, or heaven forbid, create any art in there.
That's a good point. The time is so limited. Everything's moving so much quicker. Maybe, don't have time to smell the roses, right?
There is a well-established rule in business that any task that you have to do takes whatever amount of time you assign to get it done in. If you have a 2-week deadline, it's going to take you 2 weeks. If you have a 2-day deadline, you're going to get it done in 2 days.
Yeah, I remember that with term papers and all that.
Yes.
I'm going to get it done right at the last minute. Be completed right then.
Waited so long, you stayed up so late you could have almost caught the end of the Dodgers Blue Jays game last night. Man. Well, we went completely off topic. We still got to talk about Melissa at some point, but as happens sometimes, it's a hazard of the occupation. Lance and I got busy enjoying ourselves and quite honestly forgot you were here. So we will continue and get back to some other things when we return on mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook.
Get up and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back to Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, they're here for every part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, the banking services at Community Bank make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert advice and custom solutions to help your business thrive. And if you're dreaming of a new home, their mortgage specialists are there to make your process seamless. It's all designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I have more details on what went on at the Mississippi Bridge.
Okay, good deal. Because I was reading a couple other things that would kind of slip my mind.
They actually it closed about 9:15 last night.
Man,
it was originally
so it wasn't
stated,
this morning. Okay.
Yeah. It went through this morning until about 5:45 this morning. It was closed. I'm sure that caused no problems whatsoever on I-10. If you've ever been over the bridge on I-10 down in Baton Rouge, it never stops. The Department of Transportation down there said a stalled vehicle caused the shutdown. But according to WBRZ, the Baton Rouge Police Department told them that a subject climbed the bridge's superstructure and refused to come down, but by 5:45 this morning, the person did come back down safely, and they reopened the bridge.
I was I'd kind of gotten sidetracked looking at all the jumpers over the last few years off of I-10, and it basically started back in 2019. A guy in San Antonio. And he was subdued with tasers. He got the electricity jolt, and they drug him down. And you've had several of those, 2018, 21 in Louisiana, a couple in Houston, and then in Arizona in 25. So this is the newest I-10 jumper. Apparently that's become somewhat of a thing.
Kind of, but that's what, 6 years, you get like 5 or 6 of them, about once a year.
Yeah, about once a year, right.
Somewhere along I-10, which, covers the breadth of the U.S., basically. So, still a horrible thing. Yeah. And again, you never know what someone is going through.
I hope they hope they got them some help,
We know what Jamaica's going through.
Oh, man.
What they're about to go through.
Buddy, that thing is spinning and spinning and spinning down there, right on top of it.
The latest update from the National Hurricane Center a little while ago, should be getting another one pretty quick here. The central pressure was down to 901 millibars. It is now classified as the 7th most powerful hurricane in the Atlantic Basin in history, replacing Katrina.
Yeah, this thing it is a monster.
175 mile an hour maximum sustained winds. The Hurricane Hunter reconnaissance aircraft, we've had them on before, great guys. They don't do this. They went into it yesterday and they had to turn around and get out.
Wow. Man.
They couldn't take it. It was too much turbulence. They literally cut their flight short and turned around and got back out of there. But while they were in there, they recorded officially a wind gust of 241 miles per hour.
Man. Well, you got the southwest tail of it's like right over Costa Rica. Yeah. And then you're hitting like the northeast side of it's basically the Turks and Caicos and Dominican Republic to the east and literally sitting on top of Jamaica as we speak right now.
It's very close, and the problem is it's a very slow-moving storm.
This thing is not moving. I mean, it's spinning, and the eye looks to be about a little bit southwest of Jamaica right now as it's spinning counterclockwise southwest of Jamaica.
The eye
Caymans
that you're
are getting
talking
hammered too, yeah.
About 10 miles across, and it has now set a record for the driest eye of a hurricane ever recorded. This thing is setting records all across the board. One stat that isn't talked about very often, I mentioned this yesterday on my local show here, is cloud top temperature. People don't realize the tops of the clouds, the colder they are, the more power is able to be generated for the storm. Mm-hmm. Because cold air sinks. So if the tops of the clouds are super cold, that air is going down and it's going to continue the convection and give it even more power to generate and strengthen. The cloud top temperatures, last time I saw it was like Sunday, 112 degrees below zero.
Really?
Yes.
It sounds pretty cold to me.
Every single thing about this storm is, I'm not going to say unique, but boy, is it close. It's very close.
I didn't follow this one from the get-go. It kind of snuck up on me a little. Because, it'd been so dry around here, I was paying attention more to our weather. But where did this one originate? Did it come out of the normal trough that comes from Africa, or did this thing just kind of, it looks like it may have had a different path. Did it come from the Pacific or something?
Yeah. A little bit of a different path. But
what makes this one a little more unique? I'm just trying to figure that out.
I'm glad you mentioned one thing you did in there, though, because you talked about how dry it's been. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason this thing isn't in the Gulf right now. That ridge of pressure that has kept it dry for so long has steered it and kept it over to the east. That's the only reason we're not looking at this thing in the Gulf of Mexico. And even with that trough, even with all of the steering currents and everything else, as of late yesterday, it was still wobbling to the west instead of taking the northeasterly turn they had been forecasting for like 3 days. It was still pushing, trying to get over to the west and, getting closer and closer to being a problem for us. It's not going to happen. It has started to make that turn. It's turned up and it's going in that direction now, but that means Jamaica, the western part of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, the Bahamas. They're even saying Bermuda could catch something from this when it gets up there.
And Bermuda's a good ways off the coast east of Atlanta. That's on out there ways.
Well, and
there's a big storm out there right now, but basically taking up the eastern seaboard from about Washington to Atlanta over to Bermuda. So you got that one too. It looks like it wanted to spin, but it's just kind of floating around out there north of all this bad action in the Caribbean.
And also inside the eye of Hurricane Melissa. A lot of weird things going on. They had some small vortices that spun up, and you actually had 4 mini hurricanes rotating around the center, inside the eye wall of the hurricane yesterday. And there are apparently a large number of birds trapped in the eye.
It's like a bird storm.
Yeah, they're just having to move along with the eye as it goes because they can't get out. The wind's too strong. It'll just literally rip them to shreds.
So they're just kind of going with the flow until it loosens up a little bit for them, I guess.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens as it moves into Jamaica. A lot of people are not aware Jamaica is a very mountainous country.
Yes.
I've told several people that, and they've said, "What, Jamaica?" I'm like, "Yeah, trust me. They've got the Blue Mountain Peak. I think is the highest one at over 7,000 feet. They've had wind gusts. Keep this in mind. Very steady wind gusts over 200 miles an hour, recorded at just 900 feet. So, anybody on the mountain? Forget it." Right. It's not going to end. This is not going to end well. This is going to be an incredibly tragic story once this thing is done and we start to see what has happened. The United Cajun Navy, speaking of crazy people with good intentions, they sent a crew down about 3 days ago to ride it out so they would be there to start helping as soon as it was passed.
That's some guts, man. If you look,
yes.
I've been way out in the Gulf many times and caught a couple squalls, and you think you're going to die. It's crazy being down in the water like that when just a basic storm's coming through. Something with this type of velocity and this type of power. You're not catching me riding that out.
Well, let me, and I want to make sure I make this clear. United Cajun Navy, I call them crazy, but that is meant in the
most endearing and loving
way, because that is a group of grown-ups. They are doing, they are, risking it all, basically, so that they can start helping as soon as they possibly can. You can give no higher compliment to another group of human beings than to point that out.
Man, they're always on point, though.
Yes.
Wherever they're needed, they are always right there. They are.
And but by the way, they don't get paid for that.
No, it's a volunteer deal, right?
Yes.
Show up with their own stuff.
They show up with their own stuff. You get there, you unload the P-row, which my wife continuously tells me I'm mispronouncing, but I have to keep reminding her I'm a Mississippi boy. I'm doing the best I can in a hard, cold, cruel world.
I love a P-road, man.
No, I think
best
she
boat
says
ever made.
I think she says it's supposed to be, because she was born and raised on Grand Isle, so she's the expert here. I think she says it's supposed to be something like P-row.
Yeah, probably in French. P-row. Look at the P-row.
Go get me the tiny boat. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Go get the one that floats in 1 inch of water.
That's why they don't want me to move down there. We will continue, and we will do it with some money news. A little good news for a change. It's Mississippi Lottery time next on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the better.
It's happening. You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. A beautiful Tuesday morning. I have almost said Friday every time I have said Tuesday. For
Man, I'm off
reasons.
today. I really am. I don't know what day it is. I'm glad you said it was Tuesday.
Yeah, it is definitely Tuesday, and I think the Blue Jays-Dodgers game is now in the 73rd inning.
I think that's what's got me off a little bit, man. I mean, it feels like it should be Wednesday after watching most of that.
Yeah, Monday, I didn't even finish the whole game, and Monday didn't end until like 2:30 this morning. So, you know.
Yeah, I was done by midnight, man. I was like, I tried, but I just couldn't do it. I woke up like, what happened? Did I pass out?
It's never good when you're doing mornings and Monday ends on Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's never good.
Well, that's the way research works too. You know, when I was sitting there watching that and reading, I'll read all night while I'm watching something.
Yeah.
And there's always something coming across, especially halfway across the world where it's still daylight. So the old Japanese stuff was popping all, you were seeing all that, and I'm reading and trying to keep up with the game, and then I realized that my alarm went off, which was like 4:00. I'm like, oh, okay.
The big lottery story right now, of course, is the Mega Millions, up to $714 million for the estimated jackpot. Cash jackpot, cash amount estimated about $334.1 million. No jackpot winner in Lotto America. Estimated jackpot there, $5.68 million. Cash value, $2.7 million. Powerball, you guessed it, no jackpot winner. That one has built back up to $376 million estimated jackpot. The estimated cash value on that, $179.3. And the Tolbert game, Mississippi Match 5,
that's my
no
favorite
winner. Yeah, it's still rolling, but it won't last very long. Usually we get winners on a very regular basis, as Lance pointed out. Estimated jackpot for tonight's drawing, $77,000. That could be yours if you buy a ticket and it wins. But the key part of that is buy a ticket. If you don't, you're not going to win. That's a personal guarantee from me to you.
Man, I've had this conversation in line with people. They've been buying. I said, "Do you ever buy Match 5?" They're like, "No, I never buy Match 5." And I've met so many people, at gas stations talking to Match 5, and they're like, "Hey, throw one in, then." So I hope somebody I've given advice to wins.
That and remembers who you are and finds you.
I just hope that they win. Yeah, so I don't look like an idiot.
This is going to be the 35th drawing since somebody won Mega Millions. Last time it was won, somebody in Virginia won it back in June. It's the end of October. It's been a minute. All you got to do is go grab your ticket, and you get a chance to win. Just want to point out, don't have a ton of time. The next drawing, tonight. So if you want to participate and grab your share of that almost $750,000 estimated jackpot, go by there and get your ticket today. We had a lot of oh man, do we have the winners? We don't have time to get to all the winners. These are the winners from Monday. When we give these winners list, I want you to remember these are the winners from the previous day, not collected up from the last week or two. This is who won yesterday, okay? Players from Canton, Terry, and Gulfport each won $1,350 playing cash 4. Players from Yazoo City and Port Gibson each won $2,600 on cash 4. 2 players from Columbus each won $5,000 yesterday on cash 4. And a Greenville man bought 7 tickets and won $18,900. All of that yesterday on cash 4. Cash pop had a woman in Aberdeen won $1,000. Players from Cleveland and Jackson won $1,250 each. Players from Prentice and Chunky won $2,500 each. On match 5, the Lance game, Brandon woman took $1,000 home. I'll take that, definitely. Mega Millions. A Mobile, Alabama woman bought a ticket in Moss Point, won $2,000 yesterday. The $10 Diamond White scratch off, an Oxford woman. Oh man. I want you to picture having that coin, my wife has a little special scratch stick that she uses to scratch her. I think it was like some sort of fingernail tool. I don't know about that. I'm a dude. But she uses it, and she's got her little table, and she sets up to do it. But I want you to picture that, or having that quarter in your hand, or a nickel, or a penny, or, you know, a metal slug from a construction site, whatever you can afford to scratch with. And you scratch it off and realize you just won $200,000 on a $10 ticket that happened to a woman in Oxford yesterday on the $10 Diamond White, $10 Wild Cherry winner, $10,000 winner in McHenry. And the $100 million extravaganza, Jackson Man won $1,000, Macomb woman won $2,000, and the $20 200X cash blitz, a Hernando man, won $1,000. All of that was just yesterday. It's a brand new day. Stuff your pockets. It's raining soup. Grab a bucket and get your tickets with the Mississippi Lottery. We have Fox News, Super Talk Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of mornings on Super Talk on the way next. Keep it here.
Your home.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. My theme song. Thank you, Lance.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
You are Flash, man.
Welcome back to Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross, sans Richard Cross, brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough. If you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you are not the Lone Ranger, my friend. We even identified this horse for him earlier. I think it was Friday, wasn't it? Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah, Hi-Ho Silver and what was the other one? Scout, right?
Scout. Tonto's horse's name was Scout. Well, you don't have to worry about that because you're not the Lone Ranger when you use MWG Employer Services. They can provide you a full range of employer services and a custom plan that fits you and your business. Call today at 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. You know, there's a lot of hooting and hollering about EBT right now, isn't there, about SNAP? You're not hearing some of the stories, though. I mean, you got everybody on the tickety-tack and X and Facebook and everywhere else foolishly posting full-face videos and identifying themselves as someone who's potentially a problem, threatening to just start stealing stuff. And everybody is focusing, I think, on the wrong part of this. Because everybody's thinking that this has to do with food. And let's preface all this by saying there are some people that rely on SNAP benefits to eat. Definitely, 100%. As usual, though, the bad uns ruin the good uns. One bad apple spoils the bunch, right? This is what I'm talking about. Tell me if you've heard this story, Lance. Happened last week in Seattle. On the 17th, this happened. So, a week ago. Seattle police arrested 11 people in a food stamp fraud case.
Yeah, I saw that.
In the Chinatown International District in Seattle. They were buying and selling other people's EBT cards for profit. In other words, if you had $500 worth of SNAP credit, food stamp credit, they would give you $250 cash for it and then turn around. And in a lot of cases, the police, when they announced this, had the press conference, the person that now had that EBT card would go into stores where they had previously worked out an arrangement, buy stuff using the EBT card, and then turn around and sell it back to them and get more cash.
It's like repoing a car someone doesn't pay for, and renting it out again and again. I mean, it was a weird story. Yeah, they found the angle,
That's the problem. It's not a weird story. This is one of the ones that got caught.
Yeah,
this is 11 of the people they actually busted. This goes on everywhere all the time. Selling food stamps is not new. They were doing that when they were actually paper coupons. They did that all the time. And got arrested for it. This isn't opinion. That's always been the case. The Seattle police said that victims often sold their cards for cash to support addictions, drugs, alcohol, whatever, gambling, whatever. They haven't disclosed how much fraud they found in this. But this is one of the few stories that actually makes it out, and I guarantee you wouldn't have heard about it because the national news hasn't said anything about it. It was kind of like yesterday when the Federal Workers Union came out and the president, Everett Kelly, demanded that they pass the continuing resolution and get the government back open now. Represents 800,000 workers. That was not a headline story on ABC, CBS, NBC, Associated Press, Reuters. CNN had it, amazingly enough, because they were calling out Chuck Schumer, basically. He was, by saying that. But you didn't see it stressed anywhere else. You know what was a headline on all of those services, though? We now know Diddy's getting out of jail in 2028. So it's all about the important stuff.
Yeah, that's the big story there.
But that leads into something else. Something that you may not realize is happening. I've spent a lot of my life writing in one way or another. There is a story that's out, and I thought it was a cute story. I was going to make a crack about the color of my beard. A new study out of the University of Tokyo learned that gray hair might be good for you because gray hair and the processes that cause it may prevent cancer. So that's a good story. But it reminded me of something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I want you to pay attention to the mainstream media. And that's not just the news organizations. It's all the People magazine, all of them, whatever. I want you to pay attention to the phrasing. Words are important. Semantics are a big deal because they implant things in your mind. They give you feelings. They put them into your brain unbidden, and that's how you carry on. The headline, gray hair might be good for you. Have you ever noticed that if something is good news, it's always conditional? Might be, maybe, could be, possibly, every time, if it's good news. If it's potential bad news, it's disastrous, it's horrible, it's unstoppable, it's the end of the world every single time. Watch the word choice and how those two types of stories are angled, because it's almost universal every time. If it's something that could be good, well, it might be. It could be. Let's not rush into judgment here. If it's something that's bad, it's pure evil. This must be stopped. This is definitely a problem. Great example of that is climate change. They have a big story out that apparently the ozone layer is repairing itself much faster than scientists had predicted.
Yes,
so by 2040, it'll be mostly completely back to what it was.
Well, we had a big hole in it there for a long time. If I remember, that was a big deal. What was it, in the 90s and 2000s? The ozone was depleting, and we were all going to die, all that stuff. To be fair, that was the only climate feature in history that could have had a billboard on it, brought to you by Aquanet, because the 80s, we punched our own personal hole in the ozone layer. Oh, the hairspray. Yes. But here's the thing. Aquanet. You get that story. They say it
could be fully restored by 2066.
Yeah, and the measuring tool on that,
We've had 40 years of we're going to die. If we don't fix this in the next 10 years, Florida will be underwater. You're going to die. This is happening. This is real. You can't deny this. And now it's getting better. Well, it could be good. It's another example of what I'm talking about.
And I don't know off the top of my head. I would love to know, though, what the tax, the luxury tax has been for Americans with climate change, climate control, and all that over the many years that we have been the champion, or at least the far left has been the great champion of climate change. What is the average amount of money that has been taken out of your pocket and mine to support this junk? I'm just curious.
It's not zero.
No, it's a chunk.
That.
It's going to be a chunk.
Yeah, but
and what have we received for that? Higher costs and everything, and less competitiveness on the global scale, where no one wants to actually adhere to any of these standards but us, per se. Yeah.
Not that long ago in American history, it was our instinct to assume a good outcome. Assume we were going to win. That's how we won World War II. We're like, oh, yeah, you think? And went in and did it. Not saying you don't have doubts, not saying you don't have things to go through, but the underlying emotion is, we got this. That's always been the American spirit. And now they have inverted that. And if it's a good outcome it's possible, it might happen, could be, maybe. If it's bad, well, it's already here. We've ruined it all. They have completely turned the American emotional experience upside down.
Yeah, I agree. One of our listeners just texted in from the 662. He says, bunch of rednecks could fix the ozone with some Flex Seal. So we got this, man.
I like it.
Yeah, we can handle this. Yeah.
See, that's a plan.
Yeah, you put a screen door in a boat, we can fix the ozone.
Somebody do some of your magic there in the booth and hook him up with NASA. There's got to be some way we can make use of this idea, because it's a good idea. I like that one. It's worth a shot, and if it doesn't work, that's okay. We can use a ShamWow to mop it up. It'll be perfect.
You got to find that guy.
There are no negatives here. Just remember, the answer to the question, can I do this? Should be probably. Not, we're doomed. It's horrible. No, you don't get anywhere with that kind of attitude in life. When we come back
from the Venable Glass.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi, Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Rooted in our community, go to communitybank.net to find out more. Joining us now, District 43 Representative, the chairman of the House Education Committee, and someone who's about to be busy coming up in January, I have a feeling. Lloyd Roberson, we call him Rob. Representative Rob, Mr. Chairman, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. Good to be here this morning.
Well, let me ask you right off the top. Let's talk about the Education Freedom Task Force. This is a subject of some mild interest, isn't it?
I'll say it's probably the mildest of interest that I've had in years. It's been a lot going on this summer. We've had a lot with it. Talked to a lot of good people on both sides. You have good people that are completely opposed to what we're accomplish here, and you have good people on the other side that are pushing and promoting this. But we've got a lot of great conversations. But I think in the end, I think we're going to get something that works for Mississippians when it's all said and done.
Well, we've been talking about this for several years now, and admittedly this is a complicated, thorny subject to get through, but there are some people, I've been told this a couple of times, that feel like it's taken too long to get to a point where we're having serious discussions with the possibility of a result out of it. What's your feeling on that?
Well, it's probably fair to say I've been talking about this probably for the last year and a half, and all the states that surround us have already done something in this arena. We're going to be one of the last southeastern states that really come to the table and do this or do something similar to this. Over this last meeting that we had, we met with the Mississippi Association of for the schools, and we met with the athletic association that runs the football games, baseball, all the intramural sports, things like that. And when it's the both of those groups, one was very much cautionary, but in favor of trying to move forward with this. That would be the private schools, and then I got the impression from the athletic association that they're very nervous about this. So you can, and you see both sides of it. It's not hard to figure out that there's legitimate reasons for both. But let's do a thought experiment for a second. If we didn't have an education system in the state of Mississippi right now, and I was putting together this education system, and the first thing I did was come out and say, parents, you have no control over where your kid goes to school, I'd be run out of the state of Mississippi. But here
I think you're exactly right, yeah.
We see it with the same dynamic. Now, a lot of the folks that are out there that say that we do have choice, I'll agree with them. We do have choice. It's called rich people get to send their kids where they want to. Poor people don't. And I just think that's just an unfair dynamic. And your zip code should not determine where you're capable or able to go to school. And I don't think that's a hard concept to get across, but unfortunately, you've got a lot of folks out there that there's fear that you're going to harm a good school or you're going to shut down a small one. And my opinion of that is, if you're a good school, and I don't care whether you're big or small, if you're a good school and you lose 5 people, then there are going to be 5 other people that are going to want to come to your school. So it's silly to suggest that you're going to actually lose students. Now, if you're a poor performing school, you're probably going to have problems. And I'll be very honest with you. If it's a poor performing school and it's gone on for years and years and years, my opinion is it needs to shut down, and we need to figure out what makes it better.
Well, and the thing here is, let me ask you this, because it is a complicated thing. There are 2 sides to this story. I think everyone understands that at this point. Is the sticking point private schools? Is that the point that everybody seems to keep coming back to when we have the discussions about this?
You know, I would say no. Last year we were talking about something we were calling portability, which meant public to public. And I've got a tremendous amount of pushback from some of our administrators, and some of these are good people. So I'm not suggesting that any of these people are nothing but good people. There's some dang good administrators out there. But some of these folks are just very concerned that this is going to put some kind of burden on their school system if they have too many people that want to come to their school. And we gave them the ability to turn people away if they just didn't have the ability to take them. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough, and I get the impression that change is just hard, and we're just having to keep pushing. And here again, I don't suggest these folks are ill intent, but the bottom line is that the whole purpose of schools, it's supposed to be educating kids, not putting a system of employment system in for the adults out there. And unfortunately, I think that we're kind of missing the point in some of our areas, that the whole point of schools are to educate children.
Oh, that's right. And I think part of the reason why it's such a big change and such a problem in some people's eyes on both sides is that this is trying to introduce the concept of a free market capitalism. It's not capitalism here, but the free market into what has always been a closed system. And that's never going to be an unbumpy road, is it?
It isn't, but the point that I would make to anybody that's out there that's kind of on the fence, that are trying to figure this out, if the government money being used is the concern, then it's the same government money that we use in hospitals. It's the same government money that we use in just about every aspect of our lives out there. And we don't tell parents where to take their children to a hospital, but we do tell them where to send them to school. And that's ridiculous that we're getting to the point where someone's education and the most important thing that they will do over the course of their lifetime to make certain that they can be successful has been put in such a small category. Parents should be able to make the decision as to what is in the best interest of their children. And unfortunately, we kind of backed ourselves into a corner here, and we've got to dig our way out. We've got to be brave enough to do it.
Well, and that's what it's going to take, and I suspect it's going to take a lot of arguing still to come. Do you think we're going to get something workable passed during this upcoming session? I know you hope we do. Do you think there's a shot?
I absolutely think there's a shot. I've been told most of my life that I wouldn't be able to get things done in certain areas, and we've always been able to get there. And I have no doubt that my group and the leadership on the House side as well as on the Senate side, there are good people on both sides trying to make this happen. But I think that when it's all said and done, we'll get something on the table that will work. It may not be exactly what Rob wants, but it may be something better when it's all said and done. So I'm not tied to the fact of exactly what it has to be. I'm tied to the fact that we have to do something.
Well, I'm going to go back to something you said a second ago, because you highlighted part of the problem here perfectly, I think. The only question, or the only kinds of questions, to me anyway, that should be asked while debating this is, if you've got two options, which one is the best for the kids? That's it. All these other considerations, that's kind of secondary at best to the thrust of this, which is to give every kid in Mississippi the opportunity to get the best education possible for them. And if you're asking questions that have nothing to do with that, you're asking the wrong questions, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that one of the things that people really don't get their head wrapped around even with this is that only about 7 to 10% of the children out there are going to take a part of going to a private school or going to a different school. And 10% is at the top end, and 7% is more the average, and it may be even fewer than that when it's all said and done. So the reality is we're going to still have public schools. We're still going to have a need for all of these schools to work together. But even if you're in a good school district, there are children out there that may have been bullied, may have been just don't fit into that really good school system, that need to go somewhere else. And to suggest that anything other than that particular kid that needs to be treated fairly, the parents need to be treated fairly, to me is ridiculous. We have to get to a point where we're focusing on what each individual kid needs. Now, there are some opponents of this will say, well, there are some bad parents out there that can't or won't make the right decision for their child.
Chairman,
what do you do?
I hate to interrupt you, but we're up against a break. Can you stick around through the break?
Absolutely.
And we'll pick that back up. Just wet your finger and hold your place there, and we'll pick it right back up when we come back with Representative Rob Roberson here on Super Talk Mississippi in Mornings. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome back to Morning Super Talk Mississippi. Dave Hughes in for Richard Cross this morning, and with us is Representative Rob Roberson from District 43, Chairman of the House Education Committee, and we are talking about, I think this is probably one of the biggest things that's going to come up in this upcoming session in January, isn't it?
I think it's probably the biggest thing that's going to come up in the next 5 years. We're really, this is really something serious that we're taking on, and it's probably the biggest thing. Maybe secondarily to the change in the way we fund our schools last year. I think this is a really big topic it's important. Everyone needs to know about it. Needs to be talking about it.
I think you're right. Now, I'm sorry I had to interrupt you because we have no control over when the breaks happen. And you were on a roll. I hated to stop you because you were making some good points. And let's just pick that back up and talk about the pluses and the minuses to this and some of the arguments going on.
Well, some of the arguments I've heard have been that what do you do when you have parents that are uncaring or don't, they're not involved? Well, that's equivalent to saying that you're on the Titanic. You've only got 5 boats that could be put out to save people, but because we only have 5 boats and we're not going to be able to save everybody, we're not going to put any of the boats in the water to save people. And that's a ridiculous argument. There are going to be situations that we cannot control as either a people or a government or a school system. And we've got to do what's best for each of these children. Now, that's not to say that we throw these kids away. It's to say that we do the best we can with what we have and continue moving forward. Good school systems will meet the needs of these kids. And whether that means it's a public, private, or a parochial school, then those schools will meet those needs if we let them. And having some ability, it's one of the things that's been very frustrating for me as chairman of education is I don't claim to be an expert in education. What I claim to be is somebody that cares enough to be willing to serve, and that's the way most parents feel. I kind of, having 4 children of my own, I feel very much in the role of a parent here saying, okay, what is going to be the best for my children? And that's the way I'm looking at it. I would hope that that's the way most of the superintendents, principals, and teachers do. Now, a lot of the teachers I've talked to, now they won't say this, they won't publicly say it, but they'll say it privately. This is the greatest thing. We think this will be the best for our kids in the future. Because being on the inside, they see some of the problems that we have. If you have a child with a special need, we do have ESAs in Mississippi. And that does help in terms of taking special needs children and giving them a place to go. However, we've got to build these things up, and every child should have the opportunity of doing what's going to be in their best interest when it's all said and done. And I think this is the route to go. Now, that being said, we have to be careful and be as diligent as we can to make certain that we're keeping support of our good schools, the best schools that we can, and making certain that those are attractive for parents and kids in the future. But I can't see how this takes away from that.
You mentioned in the last segment that you had heard from some of the athletic departments at some of the high schools. Is there a concern about recruiting and schools concentrating the best athletes in the area into one school?
That's exactly one of the issues that they brought up. But my argument to that's going on now. I mean, the cherry picking that's going on, and it's not supposed to be legal. And it's not supposed to be something that's done, but it's happening. And so from my standpoint, we're discussing an issue that's occurring. Whenever that comes up, either we can strengthen these issues where we put in legislation that you have to sit out a year if you're moving around, and the purpose of moving around is to create this super school that has the greatest football team. All you have to do is put a situation in there where if you have to sit out for 1 year, if that's the case. I'm not that interested in the athletic dynamic. And now, that being said, I want kids to have the opportunity to play ball and do the things that they enjoy doing. But more than likely, these kids are not going to make their living in the future by football, baseball, or any other sports that may be out there. They're going to make their living by the education they receive now and in the future, whether that be a vocational education or whether that be a university education. So we have got to give them the strongest foundation we possibly can. This athletic dynamic is, to me, secondary to what should be talked about, which is the educational system, that we should be making certain that each of our children are getting the best of the best we can give them.
Well, it goes back to something you said earlier as well. I think that a lot of the friction in this idea comes from adults are wanting what they think is best, not what's actually best for the kids. That's just the impression I get from the outside looking in. Is that even close?
It seems like that sometimes. I really don't like, the opponents of this, I don't like to suggest that I understand their motivation. I would hope their motivation is as pure as my motivation. I don't like to think that it's in terms of, this is going to harm the employment, this is going to harm the community. Because a lot of times when you close a school down, for argument's sake, when this could have some consolidation dynamics at play with it. But if you close the school down, you almost kill the community. But if that's what's holding your community together to start with, you might have a bigger problem than the school system. And unfortunately, that's just the reality. We consolidated, Oktibbeha County consolidated a few years ago, and it's the best thing that we could have done for our children. Now, it may have not been the best situation we could have done for Moore, Alexander, or Sturgis, or Maven, but it was the best thing we could do for those children because they were able to be brought into the Starkville, Oktibbeha County School District, and they're getting a really good education, and they're able to meet and exceed needs that we have for them. But in the future, all of our communities need to be looking at something. We've got over 140 some odd school districts in the state of Mississippi. We only have 82 counties. Explain to me why we have to have that many superintendents, assistant superintendents, principals. There's ways to do this to help consolidation, and part of this school choice dynamic will force this issue to be talked about. Part of this conversation will move us kind of naturally where parents think their children are best fitted for. And so I honestly think that in the long run, we'll have a leaner, meaner system that works for our children and not the other way around, where it's our children having to be there and operate to make certain that the community and there are people being employed in a particular community. That is not the purpose of an educational system. An educational system is meant to be educating children, period.
Well, and I think we're dealing with a problem of a system that was set up during a time when 30 miles between your house and the school was an inseparable distance, so you needed another school closer. Now the world has changed, but we, thanks to societal inertia, just resist any idea of changing the system to match the current situation instead of leaving it like it was 100 years ago.
I think that's fair, and it really comes down to our natural. Human beings are very suspicious of change. I understand that, and I completely understand the natural tendency not to want to move from where you are. I get that, but for us to be successful, for the state of Mississippi to have the best educational system moving forward, nationwide, worldwide, we have got to take on some of these issues. And I realize all the arguments, we've had the miracle, the Mississippi miracle, which was no miracle. There were a lot of good people that are still in the legislature, that are still involved in this decision we're trying to make now, that made those decisions. And then we had good teachers and we had good administrations that helped promote those things to get us where we are today. There's no miracle here. This is just called good old-fashioned hard work. And we're going to continue doing that, and we're not going to sit on our laurels. We're going to keep moving forward, making good decisions so that our kids could be, better off, and we can have an economic system here in Mississippi that really is attracting more and more people to our state. We have got to grow our state, or we're going to die, and that is the bottom line for any community.
It's Representative Rob Roberson, Chairman of the House Education Committee. My condolences to your voicemail inbox, by the way. I have a feeling it's going to stay crammed for the next 6 months.
It will be. It will be. It'll be a lot of fun, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always fun when you're accomplishing things. That's the way it works. Chairman, appreciate your time this morning. Keep up the good work and keep us updated, okay?
Thank you. God bless y'all.
Same to you. We will continue on a very nice Tuesday morning here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Tree.
Now, what's happening across your state? Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Tell me your troubles and doubts, giving me everything inside and out, and love strange.
It's my fault. Take the blame 100%.
What'd you do, man?
I mentioned Aquanet in the 80s, and now you're cranking out the Simple Minds. I see how this works.
I live in the 80s music, man. I love it, dude. I don't know.
Well, that was the last time it had flavor.
Yeah,
I take that back.
90s,
Some of the 90s,
yeah, some of the
90s was good.
There was a lot of whininess in the 90s, you know, with grunge rock and all that. But you know, it's, such as the times as they change.
The horrible songs from the 80s were better than the best songs being put out now.
Man, I can't agree more. I'm a big fan of the 70s music, probably more than anything. But growing up in your childhood is the 80s. That was kind of my era. You know, you had MTV and Friday night videos and all that stuff going. I mean, you know, some of the just great, terribly put together television.
Well, and
the early videos were so bad, they were great.
I am fully aware that other people will have other opinions, and they're already screaming right now about their favorite song that came out in the last few years, and that's okay. Yeah, this is America. You have every right to be wrong.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. It's not – I like most all genres of music, you know, and
yeah.
It's just some stand out more to me than others and seem to have much more complexity in the musical creation and the ensemble. And, you know, to me, music is a band, right? I'm not a big person where you have one person up there singing and you don't even see the band. It's all just kind of piped in. I don't have a problem with it. It's just not my style. I like watching the band itself, you know, work and put together music.
Let me just say, and I've got a very broad, you know, thing as well. My wife walked in on me the other night and I was listening to classical music. I do that. I also listen to the heaviest, slipknottiest metal you've ever heard.
I'm the same. I go from far left to far right on music.
And I quickly threw it up on the speakers and said, here, what song is this? What current in the last 20, 30 years song is this? And I played part of Pachelbel's Canon in D. They took Pachelbel's Canon in D, the main refrain from it, sped it up to double time and added electric guitars, and that's My Chemical Romance's The Black Parade.
I like it, yeah.
Go look it up. Go listen to it, and you'll hear it.
I love it when you take something and make it different, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody created a masterpiece and speed it up or slow it down, add your own. It's fun stuff. I'm not a great musician. I mean, I'll hack around on a guitar, but
want to remind you, I'm not in the same tax bracket as Richard, but I got to tell you something. You know, he talks about David Fisher Land Company all the time. So I went and looked at the website. Oh,
man, there's some beauties out there, aren't there?
I'm getting tempted now. They got some great stuff on the website, and you know, all over the place. Several things in Humphreys County, Vance, all over the place. Great stuff. At David Fisher Land Company. You can go to davidfisherland.com to find out more, or you can give old David a call, him own self, at 662-299-8064. Now I want more property. and I blame Richard. It's his fault.
Like
I blame Richard.
Like Richard says, you don't want every acre of land. You just want every acre of land that surrounds you.
Oh, yes. The more the better. The further away the neighbors are, eventually you want them to walk out on the front porch and yell for you, and you don't hear it. That's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I love having access to ours. I mean, it's not mine. It's, my family's, but being able to get out into the Delta and have a couple hundred acres to play around on and a club of, a few thousand. Just, it's almost like unlimited fun. Get out there and ride around, find something to get into, fall asleep under a tree on the bank of the bayou and hope you don't get eaten by a gator. That's what I love about the winter, man. I can go in there, go duck hunting for a few minutes and go sit on the bank and take a nap. And you don't have to worry about getting et by nothing. So they all hibernated.
Want to remind you, Richard back tomorrow, but he's sort of on the road. Turning Point USA, headed to Ole Miss tomorrow. Vice President J.D. Vance is going to be there. Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, who started Turning Point USA, is scheduled to speak. And I believe this tour that's going on, I heard this, this is the only place she's speaking at. Mm-hmm. She's not doing it at every stop. So this is a big deal, and Richard is going to be set up on campus at Ole Miss tomorrow morning doing mornings. It's going to be a great day. And this is really cool. You got the vice, not just any vice president. I would suspect someone who's going to go down as probably the most popular and likable vice president of my lifetime is going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you look at the president of the United States, I mean, JD and him are really a great team so far, and the president is absolutely kicking butt out there on the global tour. So,
well, I got to say, I say most likable president. Technically, I was alive while Spiro Agnew was still in that office.
Good old Spiro.
Maybe a run for it. No, there's no competition there whatsoever. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross has been brought to you by MWG Employer Services. You can call 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerServices.com to find out more. Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News. And then we're getting into folk festival territory. Blaine Waide joins us next on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Sweet Jane, sweet Jane, waiting for Jenny down in the alley, waiting there for him to come back home, waiting down on.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here. Mornings presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. Go to communitybank.net to find out more. Big weekend coming up next weekend in Jackson, and to talk about it, the executive director of the National Council for Traditional Arts, Mr. Blaine Waide, joins us on the show this morning. How are you doing this morning, Blaine?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Dave?
Not too bad. Now, tell us about the festival coming up next week. It's a little bit unique, I think, in breadth, if nothing else. Tell us about what's happening in Jackson next week.
Yeah, no, the National Folk Festival is really a one-of-a-kind event, and we hope a one-of-a-kind opportunity coming to the state of Mississippi for the first time in its 92-year history. It is a large-scale, entirely free to the public celebration of the artistic traditions of all Americans. This is going to be a 6-stage festival taking place in downtown Jackson with everything from parades to food vendors to a crafts marketplace, and featuring music, everything from bluegrass and blues to salsa music to crump dance to Korean percussion and dance to flamenco, Cape Verdean music. And the idea is that no matter who you are, you can come to this festival entirely free and family friendly and see something that's for you and really get introduced to some of the great artists here in the United States.
Well, I was nosing around the website. I think it's like 300 different acts are going to be performing this year.
Well, we say 300 artists, and that covers all the music and dance performances, as well as the crafts marketplace. And then there's the Mississippi Folklife area that's curated by the Mississippi Arts Commission. And so that's going to have a performance stage with about a dozen performing groups, as well as about 15 craft demonstrators, everything from quilters and instrument makers to skateboarders, and a motorcycle club from Indianola, Mississippi, right across the street from Club Ebony, where B.B. King got his start. So it's a wide breadth of artistic and cultural expression, showing the best of the country, but also the best of Mississippi.
Well, and I'll be honest, when I was reading through it and I was researching it, it almost kind of had a flavor of a Renaissance festival in a way when I first read it. And then the more I read, the more I realized, no, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot bigger of a deal, isn't it?
Yeah, no, this is a really big event. And like I said, we've been around for 92 years. The festival's been in about 30 communities. It's never been in the Deep South. It's never been in the state of Mississippi. And I can't think of a more appropriate place for a festival that celebrates the best of American music and culture than the state of Mississippi, which has contributed so much to the national story of music, art, and culture. And I think people are going to be really surprised this year when they come out the first time. I mean, we're talking world-class musicians, one of the best Irish fiddlers in the country, world-class blues musicians, bluegrass musicians, some of the best artists from Mississippi, just a rock and salsa band from New York City. And all of this, as well as a family area, again, food and craft and demonstrators. So it's just a full immersive experience that people are just going to love. And it's going to be really enriching and rewarding for the entire family.
Now, the cool thing to me is, and correct me if I've got this wrong, this is the first of 3 years in a row that the fest is going to be in Jackson, right?
Yeah, so the model for the National Folk Festival and the way we've been working for about the last 40 years is it goes into a community and it lays the foundation for a long-term festival. It's a 3-year residency. It's always a downtown event. It's always large scale, and it's always free to the public. And it has this broad cultural scope of introducing people to as much of the country as we can over 3 years. And the whole point and direction is eventually it lays the foundation for a locally produced festival that will continue after that 3 years. And we have festivals like that we helped start that have been going for 40 years and 21 years and 18 years and on down the line. And these are events that bring over 150,000 people into the downtown of these communities. They generate new downtown investments, economic renewal, and more than anything, it's community building. We rely on about 800 to 1,000 volunteers. It takes the whole community to get behind the event. Like I said, it's free and family friendly. It's for everybody. It's just a really positive and joyous experience that's there for 3 years and then leaves something long term for the community and the whole state of Mississippi as well.
And as we've seen over and over with these kind of festivals, live events, whatever you want to classify it, the number of people that you bring in is an economic boost to the area, in this case to the city of Jackson, because those people that are coming in, they're spending money. They bring their wallet with them when they come, and it provides a little bit of a injection of capital, if you will, when these people come in. That's another way that it's important to the city.
Yeah, sure. And that's what we've seen across these other cities I've mentioned. What we'll see as this builds over 3 years is eventually $15 to $30 million of long-term economic impacts. That's, like you said, it's people staying in hotels, going to restaurants, spending their money at downtown businesses. And it's also then generating people who make their first trip to the area and then want to come back. And we're hoping this is a boost to Jackson, but also the boost to the bedroom communities in Ridgeland and Canton and Brandon and on at Flowood and on and on. And we've seen this, if we look at our festival, for instance, in Richmond, Virginia, it brings in about $37 million annually, economic impacts. Butte, Montana, where the National Folk Festival was from 2008 to 2010, brings in $30 million statewide tourism. And I really think that the story in Jackson and Mississippi can be like Butte, because people can come, they can see the festival, and then they can go to all the different cultural and heritage and history sites throughout the state of Mississippi. Cultural heritage tourism is a big part of the Mississippi economy, and this can be a big boost for that. So all the economic benefits, the community building, it's just a huge lift for the community.
In the history of this, and in previous, you mentioned Butte and all these other places, do you get people coming in from out of state, from a decent distance, to come in and attend these festivals?
Yes, for sure. I mean, you see some people who travel with the festival, And I think when we're talking about Jackson, what we're really hoping to do over time is appeal to people in New Orleans, in Memphis, heading over to Alabama, into Arkansas, to have that regional appeal and then also national appeal as well. Now, what's really exciting is, of course, next year is the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the country. And again, Mississippi has contributed so much to the story of 20th century American music cannot be told without Mississippi. And next year is going to be a really exciting opportunity to celebrate that, again, to drive people to Vicksburg, to see the Civil War sites, all the civil rights sites, all the literary and musical sites. So it's a chance to bring a national audience to the state and share all that Mississippi has to offer.
Well, and that's the really cool thing about this, because we spend all day, every day immersed in it in the state of Mississippi. And as a result, you kind of lose sight of it. You don't see the forest for the trees. And we have an absolutely stunning forest in this state when it comes to the arts.
Yeah, and one thing I've really gotten in the habit of saying is, so we do about 4 festivals throughout the country. So we stay involved in some of the host cities. And even though the festival has never been in the state of Mississippi, Mississippi's at the festival almost every year. Whether we're talking about blues artists or gospel artists or more, you're talking about all these. We have relationships with artists throughout the state of Mississippi who we've taken to Butte, Montana, Lowell, Massachusetts, Bangor, Maine, Richmond, Virginia, Greensboro, North Carolina, and Salisbury, Maryland in recent years. And that's because of the richness of, like you said, all the rich forest of arts in the state of Mississippi. So this is really a great chance to basically bring the festival home to the birthplace of America's music and celebrate all those artists close to home, but also introduce all the people in Mississippi to so many things maybe they've never experienced before, and the best artists doing these things in the country. So it's going to be a real lift to Mississippi artists, but also just such a positive impact for families and kids to see what they're introduced to and exposed to.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to bring up. This is an extremely family-friendly event, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, it's entirely free. We want everybody to be able to attend. The reason it's downtown is to make it accessible to everyone. And we want it to be something that you can bring the kids to. You can take them to the family area. We have a really robust family area. It's a mix of make and take activities, hands-on activities for kids. We're working with the Mississippi Children's Museum, the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians, B.B. King Museum, on and on and on in terms of the great organizations who have come to the table and help us plan activities. So you can bring your kid, they can learn, they can get their hands on things. C-Spire is doing some great things with virtual technology. There's a performance stage there as well, interactive, get the kids up dancing, learning klezmer dances, learning crump dance. And so all these things for the family to do together, and then to go to all these wonderful performances that are joyous and uplifting, educational, but also just a whole lot of fun. And it's a chance that really has a long-term impact on kids. If you think about a festival like ours in Richmond, Virginia, that's been there for 20 years, you have kids who started going to the festival who are now bringing their kids to the festival.
That is a great way to feel old, isn't it? When you realize that. I know how that works. Can you stick around through the break?
Of course. Thank you.
Fantastic. Blaine Waide with us, the executive director of the National Council for Traditional Arts, the National Folk Festival coming to Jackson next weekend. And when we come back, I got some difficult questions to ask you. It's enough of the fluff. I got to find out what a crump dance is. I've never heard of that one. And the educational part's going to kick in after the break with Blaine when we continue here on Morning Super Talk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
The cult of personality. I know your anger. I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Told you about Richard on the road tomorrow. Thursday, he's on the road, too. It's a busy week for Richard. He'll be at the Mississippi Coliseum for the Hobnob, hosted by the Mississippi Economic Council. Political leaders, a day of networking, and great food. You can still register. Go to mec.ms to find out more. We have Blaine Waide with us, the Executive Director of the National Council for Traditional Arts, the National Folk Festival, and now we're going to get to the educational part he was talking about. What is a crump dance, Blaine?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to tell you. So crump dance, as breakdancing kind of emerges in different urban spaces in the 70s, and what you've seen since then is different sort of evolutions and derivations from there. Crump dance emerged around the turn of the 20th to the 21st centuries. There was a guy in LA who started something called clowning, which is kind of it's sort of what it sounds like without the visuals of clowning, but it was fun and playful form of dance. And out of that grew crump dance, which became a more sort of energetic and aggressive way of dancing, very based in sort of mock battles. But what it was actually meant to do was help people release, who are growing up in some of these urban settings, some of the pent-up struggles and feelings. And so it's actually meant to be a very positive and generative sort of way of releasing those feelings, expressing yourself, and leading to a very positive sense of community. But it's an urban dance form. Again, it's highly energetic, has very dramatic dance moves. It's usually performed in sort of a fake battle, staged battle sense. And what was really interesting about it is part of the National Folk Festival is when we go into a new community, of course, again, we are featuring some of the best artists in the country, but we also want to feature some of the artists from the host community and really make sure we're highlighting the host region and that sense of place. And we work with a lot of local advisory committees. And one of them is a programming committee. We get ideas on and feedback on what artists should be at the festival. So we were meeting and we said, what should we know about Jackson? And somebody spoke up and said, well, there's this really great stuff going on at the Briarwood Arts Center, and they're hosting these crump dance battles, and that would be a great thing to do at the festival. And so we're like, great, let's do that. We want to show as much. We want to show people how broad the idea of folk is. So they're coming. They're going to do interactive performances. Kids can get up and learn how to crump dance. It's very participatory. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's also highly educational and a way of showing some of the great arts activity going on in Jackson.
Well, this is how I know I'm old. I think I threw my back out listening to you explain what crump dancing is. Forget trying it. That's never going to happen. Well, maybe once, but that'll be it for the rest of all time. But this does also, the crump dance thing, highlights something that I think people don't really think about. You hear folk, a folk festival. You think ye olden times. Folk
right.
is continually evolving. New things are continually popping up that will still be around in 100 years, 200 years. One day they will be ye olden times. But you're in at the beginning, so to speak. So you get to enjoy all the things that have started before, plus the things starting now, right? It's a lot broader than just clogging.
Yeah, no, this is not fiddles and banjos. This is not rocking chairs on the front porch. I mean, there will be some fiddles and banjos. Again, we're going to have one of the best Irish fiddlers in the country, Eileen Ivers, at this festival. But when we're talking about what folk music is, it is a living thing. It's constantly changing. It's part of each of our lives, no matter where you live, where you go to church, where you work. There are traditions you grow up around. There are things that are passed down to you and your family, and that is always changing. It is not a static thing. And so what we're trying to highlight at the festival is how broad and mixed that can really be. It's everything from salsa music that emerged in Puerto Rican communities in New York City to go-go, which is the official music here in Washington, D.C., which brought together funk and jazz and Latin percussion. It's crump dance, but it's also bluegrass music and blues. We're going to have Sacred Steel Gospel, this really exciting tradition that came out of House of God Pentecostal churches, where they brought the steel guitar in basically from Hawaiian music in the 1930s and made it central to worship services. So it's all about how communities bring arts and creative expression into their spaces and make those expressions vital to who they are and their sense of identity, and how those change over time. And we want to show the full breadth of that. Everything, again, like bluegrass and back to the very start of it, up to very, very recent and new forms of expression like crump dance.
Well, There's another aspect of this that I'm kind of picking up on here, and I just had the thought. Your great-great-grandmother used to tell your grandmother stories. You used to share things on, a lazy Saturday afternoon, whether it be a scary story, funny stories, whatever. Every single one of those doesn't get passed down. Your grandmother didn't tell you every single story her grandmother told her because it gets filtered. And when it gets filtered, you wind up with the best of the best. The stuff that survives is the really good stuff, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, I love that you highlighted storytelling, because at the core of what the festival is, we're telling stories. These artists all come, and through their performances and through what they share, and they're all wonderful on stage, they're telling you stories of who they are and where they're from, and they're representing their communities. But you're exactly right. What they're telling you, the artists themselves are the best artists coming from those communities. That's why they're here. And what they're sharing, their performances, their songs, their versions of songs that have been passed down for generations represent the best of that. And so it's such a wonderful snapshot. I mean, a lot of these artists are people that people may not have heard of, but looking at like somebody like Lucinia, who comes from a strong Cape Verdean community in Boston that goes back to the 19th century in the whaling industry there. She is literally probably the finest Cape Verdean singer in the United States. She is amazing. She is going to blow people away. And those are the kind of stories that we want to share at the festival.
Well, music is storytelling at its heart. And I would go even further than that. I would argue everything is storytelling in life. Everything worth anything in life is storytelling in one way or another. This is a fantastic way to learn about those new things. Like you were just mentioning that singer that no one's ever heard of. I got a little secret to spread to everyone. Every single favorite musical artist you have, at one point, you heard about them for the first time and said, "Who's that?" Well, you're going to have that opportunity next weekend in Jackson with a new crew that you probably wouldn't get exposed to any other way other than the festival. Blaine?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, a lot of these artists are probably making their first trip to Mississippi. We're going to have this great trio Romanico group. They're beautiful harmony singing. It came up around the Texas-Mexico border in the 1950s. It's absolutely gorgeous singing. And I doubt groups like that come through most places very often, not just Mississippi. And one of the really nice things about the festival is people are going to come out and they're going to want to see, if they know Irish music, they're going to know Eileen Ivers. Of course, everybody knows Bobby Rush and Miss Jody and the Sonic Boom of the South. Dale Ann Bradley, if you know bluegrass, you're going to know her. But by the end of the festival, everybody's going to be amazed by Korean percussion and dance. Everybody's going to be amazed by the flamenco group we have, or Lucinia. There's so many artists that are really people are going to find their new favorites. And what's really interesting is at the festival is to watch where people are on Sunday. And we have never heard of this artist before, but now they're just following them everywhere. So it's such a great opportunity to expose people to new things.
That's what life's all about, learning about new things, finding new things, and finding your old favorite you haven't discovered yet, because eventually it becomes an old favorite. You just got to do that first part and actually find it first. And that to me is one of the biggest functions of this, is to spread it. And one of the keys to storytelling, if you go back before printing and writing were invented, storytelling is spreading the word, spreading the story, passing it down. And that's at the heart of what you're doing with the folk festival. It sounds like to me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what you're trying to do with these festivals is also ensure that these traditions continue. You're giving artists opportunities to perform, you're putting in front of new audiences, and you're showing how important all of this is. And it's in that synergy and that back and forth between artist and audience that the real value of this is, because it builds such a strong and important sense of community. And by doing all of that, we all learn the value of preserving these things and passing them down in our own lives. And it really helps. What you'll see is younger artists, and it's so important for younger artists to come to a festival like this and perform and then see the value of what they're doing. So it just becomes this really self-sustaining circle that's so important to maintaining really these great artistic traditions, all of which are rooted here in the United States. All of these artists, even though they're from very different cultural communities, they're all based here in the U.S. And that's the point, is showing, look at all these cultural communities who are here in the United States and look at the best artists from them and all the joy that comes out of this great family-friendly event.
Next weekend, we have the Folk Festival, National Folk Festival, starting a 3-year residency in Jackson, Mississippi. It's going to be a good time, and you're going to enjoy yourself in ways that will surprise you if you attend. I only ask for one promise. If I show up, Blaine, don't pressure me into trying crump dance, because hip replacements are expensive, buddy.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you.
Okay, that's good. Blaine Waide, enjoyed talking to you, my friend, and welcome to everybody that's coming with the Folk Festival to the state capitol. We're looking forward to it. It's great to have it coming this year and for the next 2 years after that. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you so much. And just go to nationalfolkfestival.com for more info. And we still need volunteers. So please, if you're out there, volunteer. November 7th through 9th, entirely free.
From the Seabridge Sports and the good things happening here in the state. Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back to Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi. Bringing a little culture and class.
Bring a little Bugs Bunny to you this morning. You know?
Like I said, culture and class.
That's
Stop
right.
repeating me. Mornings presented by the folks at Community Bank. They're more than just a place to manage your money. They're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors for decades. They've been rooted in the community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve all of their dreams, all the way from opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or even growing your business. They're with you every step of the way. They're dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always there when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC.
What a
Melissa,
wonderful Twitter feed you just sent me on the
Oh, you like that?
EBT. Oh, yeah, man, that's good stuff.
It's an economist whose X handle is Mr. Insensitive Jerk. He's got a way to solve all of the EBT problems. His theory is that there's no incentive to get off of government assistance for food because all the food is good. So they should just provide anyone who wants them an unlimited supply of power bars.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, I've always, had my opinion on welfare is exactly what it says. I mean, especially with food, is prevent starvation and to get people off welfare. I mean, that's that's the goal. You also want to minimize the costs of it. So when I'm standing in line behind somebody that goes in there and pays with an EBT card, and they've got a 5-pound ham and the Frito-Lay box assortments and every different thing you can possibly get, which I can't afford. I mean, I can't afford to shop like that.
Yeah.
But yet when somebody's dog eats, a ham for dinner, and I mean, I think that there's so much abuse in that system. We can talk about trading food stamps and buying them down and all that, but the whole system is busted. Where it's designed to keep people on welfare, on the food stamps, dependent upon those, not going, oh, well, I can't get everything that I really want, so I may need to go work a little harder or get a job and be able to afford the things I want. But that's me, and I know folks out there need food, but yet it's not my job, and my tax dollars shouldn't pay for your laziness.
Well, I saw a video last night of a woman in Michigan who was complaining on the video that she was having to cancel her family vacation because she was now going to have to use her money to buy food instead.
Yeah.
And there's your problem.
Yeah, you were going to go on vacation with it, but now you've got to actually buy food.
National Hurricane Center, listen to this. In the next couple of hours, the eye of Melissa is going to make landfall on the western part of Jamaica. They sent another Air Force reconnaissance aircraft. It's strengthened again. It's now 180 mile-an-hour maximum sustained wind. Central pressure is now 896 millibars.
Well, that's not a power bar. That's a millibar, right?
It's that close to making landfall, and it's still getting stronger.
There's a decent cam I have pulled up, the Fox News weather cam, and it has it was about an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago, right before daylight, I believe, showing the camera on one of the streets in Kingston. And, buddy, let me tell you, that wind, is it starting to pick up? I mean, it's shaking everything. It's going to be violent. You can tell.
180 mile an hour maximum sustained winds. The gusts are going to be well over 200 miles an hour.
Man, if you look at the actual, it is blows your mind looking at the eye on a true satellite projection. It's some. I haven't seen one this dense. You know, it's usually you can see some type of water or some air in between some clouds as it's spinning. This thing is just a blanket with it looks like you've got your whole tub filled with soap and there's this little hole where it's going down the drain and you can't see anything but that. This one's remarkable.
One of the most solid, symmetrical, it's I hate to say this because it sounds like it has a positive connotation to it, but this is the model of what a hurricane could be. This storm is. This truly is, in terms of the mechanics of the storm itself, this is a once-in-a-generation storm. I don't know that we've seen one this well-formed with every single box, every single stat that you check, whether it be the maximum sustained wind, central pressure, the coverage area, the dryness of the eye, the temperature of the cloud tops. The cloud tops, by the way, it's got a stadium eye. The clouds go up to 52,000. All of those are actually records, but when you add it all together, I don't know that we've ever seen a storm exactly like Melissa.
I haven't. This is even with Katrina. You know, it was so wide and it encompassed so much space and just kind of kept spinning and dumping water. This thing is just so thick, though. I mean, I don't know how it's going to impact, but it's going to be a rough one. I've not seen anything like it. I would challenge anyone to go out and look at that satellite image. It's, man, the black and white. I mean, there's just little things happening all in that storm. It just looks like it's multiplying almost, you know. Well,
and that's the thing. I mean, you look at the areas where it hasn't broken a record, and I feel impelled to use the word yet in that sentence. Central pressure, 896 millibars. The record for lowest central pressure for a hurricane in the Atlantic Basin was Wilma. Back same year as Katrina in 2005, it got down to 882. But you go look at pictures of Wilma and compare it to what we're seeing right now from this storm, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah, it had a lower central pressure, but this storm is just unreal almost.
Yeah, it does. It's taking on a life of its own. It seems to be morphing into something bigger and worse as it continues, you know. It's almost like the welfare system here, so... I'm sorry, did I say that?
Oh, I didn't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
That wasn't me, man. Come on.
No, it couldn't have possibly been you. That's not the kind of thing you would say.
We had one of our listeners here on the 662 says, I deliver groceries for Walmart. You should see the food delivery I make to EBT customers. It is terrible. The system is broken. Yes, sir.
Yes.
I echo your sentiments 100%.
Well, and this, I want to put this out there. This is a bad thing for the people that actually need it. I feel like we need to continually stress that because there are people using that system that legitimately need it and legitimately depend on it, and this is horrible for them.
There are millions of people that truly depend on it, and it makes a difference in their lives so they can have food security, yeah. But you also have, you know, it's, as you said earlier, the one bad actor spoils the basket, you know, and the whole thing is burnt because of those that take advantage of it.
The numbers are out, and across the country total, I think it's like 43 million people.
Yeah.
That's more than a tenth of the population of America is getting SNAP benefits. Mm-hmm. That seems a bit high.
I would think so, yeah. I mean,
So
I will say that food costs are obviously higher. Rent costs have gotten outrageous. We've seen nationally, I read a report yesterday that rent prices are coming back a bit. But, I mean, if you're talking about $2,500, $2,600 for a small, say, 3-bedroom, maybe a 1-car garage with a little small yard, I mean, that's a lot of money to be pouring into something that you don't own. Just a year and a half, you're looking at the same property probably running in the $1,500 to $1,800 range, which is still, is pricey. So when you add all those things up, I mean, there are some issues here, I think, in the economy it's nothing that Trump has done, but these are terrible policies that have been continued through COVID and the inflationary side of that. I mean, you got to pay for it, right? And we're paying for it. But at the bottom of the ladder, that's where it hurts the worst.
Just like the federal government with the SNAP benefits, the old computer term, I think, sums it up perfectly. What's the first thing you do, the first attempt you make, the first thing you try to get your computer working correctly if it starts messing up? It starts bogging down, starts throwing errors, it starts doing all sorts of things. What's the first thing you're told to do? Turn it off and then back on again.
Yeah, check your notifications after you turn it on and off. And
in the government shutdown, how many people has Trump already let go in the federal government?
A bunch.
They've already cut a bunch. They're talking about cutting more if it continues. It gave an opportunity by turning it off or allowing it to turn itself off to straighten a few things out.
While this is going on, he's replacing a massive ICE overhaul underway and multiple ICE chiefs removed in major cities nationwide to surge deportations. Trump's upset we're not moving fast enough, and Bovino's been charged with replacing folks with more aggressive leaders. So there you go.
Well, we've between voluntary deportations and actual deportations, we've already gotten rid of over 2 million. That ain't bad work for like 9 months.
No, and he wants more.
That's not a bad job done at all already, and business is about to pick up in a lot of different areas, I think. The final segment of mornings on this Tuesday morning on the way next on Super Talk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
Start your day right.
Good morning, America.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
With or without Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. CommunityBank.net is where you need to go to find out more. We have got to get back some semblance of just slowing down and enjoying things. Enjoy being in the moment, living in the moment. That's gone. Nobody does that anymore. They just put out yesterday, the Democratic National Committee, pause to insert laughter here, has announced the deadline. It's in January. I didn't pay attention because nobody cares. But coming up in January, the deadline to get the process started for the next presidential election. This one, the last one wasn't even a year ago yet.
Yeah.
Next week, it'll be 1 year into a 4-year term, and we're already pushing for the next one.
Well, there's a lot of money out there to be raised, you know.
That's the problem. And that's my continuing gripe about how we seem to be trapped in a never-ending election cycle. Sometimes you got to take a knee.
It's big business now, but it's big business now. You know, think about that. The person who lost in 107 days blew through $1 billion in that amount of time. Blew through it. Doing what? Putting parties on?
Let's be fair. It was $1.2 billion.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah,
you got to be. You need to be accurate with this stuff.
But here is another example of what I'm talking about. In Nevada, big news story out there. that a 53-foot tall red fir tree named Silver Bell, they got pictures and video of it, loaded on a truck taking off, headed to Washington because that is going to be the Capitol Christmas tree. That was on Sunday. October 26th, 2 months before Christmas, we're getting Christmas stories.
It's always Christmas season for some, I think, man. Like Halloween, you know.
Again, we could go down that path again, but I'm not because we've done it before. But let's skip over the thing where you're supposed to give thanks because that's not important at all. Mm-mm. That doesn't matter. Giving thanks is irrelevant, so let's not even notice that. Let's skip right past. And at the end of October, before Halloween even happens, let's focus on Christmas.
Well, yeah, there are already Christmas sales going on online. You get to 50% off if you do it now, you know, and everybody's getting that jump start, get that money made.
Oh, it came up. January 16th. The states have until January 16th to submit their applications to hold voting contests ahead of Super Tuesday for the next presidential primary elections.
Wow. We're not even to midterms yet, you know.
No, we're
Gavin
1
Newsom's
year.
even saying, I'm waiting until after a midterm before I announce whether I will run or not, being Gavin Newsom. So, you know.
1 year ago next week, we had the last election. And already we got to get busy.
Yeah, that's perspective there. You know, I mean, you forget it was November, and we're basically plus a week. You'll be right there a whole year ago.
It will have been a year since the election, and we got to get busy now on the next election.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
take a seat and shut up.
Well, I'll say this: the president has been on a rampage in the Orient, and it was fun to watch his. You know, the diplomatic nature that he has. He's not just a diplomat; he's also a rock star. If you watch him, I mean, everywhere he goes, people are just kind of enamored with him, and he has that aura about him, and he seems much more relaxed. And that's kind of where I was going back full circle with, you know, what you're saying. I think he's really enjoying this presidency, this go around, and maybe it's different perspective, or maybe it's preparation, maybe it's both. But he's got the gun sights out, man. I mean, and he's very focused on what he wants, and I don't see him taking no for an answer on anything right now because he's kind of got the power and the prestige globally backing him to get a lot done.
President Trump, for the last 10 months, has already cemented himself as the poster child for something I've been saying for a long time. If you spend all day, if you spend every minute you have talking to people, trying to be serious and important and make sure you drive home a point in a very particular way, well, you're not going to be as successful as President Trump because he does not do that.
Yeah.
He's never done that, and he's certainly not doing it this term. He's all over the place. He says what he thinks. He tells jokes. He makes fun of people.
He's dancing, you know.
And people love him, and he's getting a lot of stuff done. Or you can play the straight-laced role and get the same results as everybody else in comparison. There's a lesson there, but some of us on planet Earth, I'm going to be honest, a little too thick to get it.
Yeah.
Just call it like it is. That's just the way it is. Well, buddy, I've enjoyed it, and we got another go-around this week.
Yes, sir. I'll see you Friday.
You and I Friday morning at 6:06. Lance and I will do this again, my friend. I'll see you then.
You're a SuperTalk Mississippi media production.